Social drama. The New York Post reports Daily Wire obtains gag order against Candace Owens despite Ben Shapiro wanting debate report. We also have the original reporting from Glenn Greenwald, who says, as the Daily Wire publicly negotiated a debate with Candace Owens, it secretly sought and obtained a gag order against her. The argument being that the reason why the debate has never happened is because while Candace Owens was saying let's debate and they were working out the details, behind the scenes, the Daily Wire was saying she can't say these things and thus there won't be a debate. I do believe that Glenn Greenwald's, I'll give you my bias. I think Glenn Greenwald's report is biased itself. And I think it's largely due to Glenn Greenwald's bias against Israel. But there's probably something here. I think there's more to it than simply the Daily Wire was like, uh-oh, if Candace Owens debates us, we'll look stupid. We better seek a gag order because no arbitrator is going to be like, well, that's legitimate. There's going to be something else behind this. It looks like the story might be that Candace Owens retweeted a video of Andrew Schultz saying Ben Shapiro has exposed himself as someone who can only debate college students and can't actually debate anybody for real. And the Daily Wire took issue with that and subsequent posts, which were like likes and retweets that were basically insulting and disparaging the company. And they said, hey, knock that off. In Glenn Greenwald's reporting, they mentioned two statements. One from Candace Owens saying, he writes, when asked for comment to be included in the story, Owens replied, I wish I could comment on this, but I can't, can neither confirm nor deny. And then went on to say, Boring said, your story is inaccurate to the point of being false, though he did not specify a single inaccuracy, nor did he deny that the Daily Wire had sought and obtained a gag order on Owens. At the same time, they were publicly posturing as wanting a debate with her. The confirmation we obtained of all these facts is indisputable. Boring added, I'm sure you can appreciate how fraught a high-profile breakup like this is. For that reason, we are trying to resolve our issues with Candace privately. The issue I see right here, and this is the example that I use, is that when it comes to statements from Candace Owens, they're fine to accept that she says, I can't talk about it. When Boring says, you know, we're trying to keep this private, they insinuate that because he's not going into detail, it implies untoward behavior. That's why I say Glenn Greenwald's biased on this one. That being said, the story is interesting, and I'm curious what you guys think as to the debate between Candace and Ben Shapiro and Israel and all that jazz.
I mean, it strikes me as hypocritical. I'm mostly on Team Candace on this one because the Daily Wire has made a brand out of being pro-speech. And I get contracts and I get bad breakups with businesses, but this seems particularly duplicitous. Saying that I want to debate you, but I'm going to legally shut you down so that I never have to debate you. I don't like it.
But that's the assumption that's being made by Glenn Greenwald. The argument being that Glenn's effectively making an opinion piece where he says we have evidence of a gag order, and that is why there is no debate. It would certainly seem that in a legal context, if the Daily Wire was seeking a gag order, no arbitrator would agree with them if they were also publicly asking for a debate. So there seems to be components of the story missing.
From what I read, so Chris Bertman, who's Man of Bird on Twitter, he's a writer at Scanner. First off, this weekend that all of this blew up, he had some of the funniest takes in response to all of this. He's fun follow if you guys want to check him out. From what I read from his coverage today, part of the issue is that the Daily Wire is saying that by calling for this debate, she violated her agreement with the company, which, again, I don't really feel like I have a dog in this fight, but I think it seems strange that they're saying this back and forth that you had on Twitter calling for this debate is the violation of the contract when also Daily Wire employees were participating in it. You know, Ben was in it until he had to log off for religious reasons, and then Jerry Boring picked it back up. And so it does seem slightly confusing to me that, you know, they were publicly having this debate with her and then maybe later went back and said, actually, we've decided that that was a violation of our contract.
I agree with that. If they're engaging in the conversation and the argument being that Candace Owens posting Andrew Schultz and other things was disparaging, it seems strange that they would engage in that debate with her.
Yeah, it's hard to know without knowing all the language of their contract. And again, like it seems like such an internal debate that I'm always wary to comment on what's going on with another company, just because like we could never know for sure unless you're on the ground. But again, from what I read from Chris Bertman today, it's this fight that was going on is the problem. But again, they both participated in it.
But it seems like the only news we really have on it is from Glenn Greenwald. And I mean, this is what really got me. It's like, he's like, why isn't boring? He says he did not specify a single inaccuracy, nor did he deny. Well, he also says we're trying to keep this private. When Candace Owens says can either confirm or deny, they stop there and they just don't even entertain why she would say that. Obviously, she's being gagged, right? So they just go, okay, thank you, Candace. Now, why won't boring elaborate? Well, because if you go to arbitration, the arbitration says we are going to enforce a gag order. Jeremy, you also have to shut the F up. And so what may have happened is someone at the company said Candace is posting and liking these things. Then they pulled in the Andrew Schultz thing, went to the arbitrator and said this is a violation of the non-disparagement. And then and then he said, well, then you guys all need to stop posting as well. And they went, okay. Mm-hmm. And they told Candace, you need to, the arbitrator says both, like everyone stop posting. And now the Daily Wire is getting flack because they're not answering Glenn's questions.
Yeah. And I can understand from, if you're Glenn Greenwald, him saying like your reporting is false to the point of inaccuracy. Like you take that personally, especially when you're then like, okay, tell me why. And he's like, I can't, which Jeremy Boring might be legally bound not to. It's just, it's a very specific criticism to levy at a reporter. Your reporting is incorrect to the point of inaccuracy. Like, but you can't tell me where I went wrong. I don't know. I would be uncomfortable with it as well. Not that that excuses any bias.
I mean, look, if I'm not even sure what this beef started as anymore. To be honest with you, like I
don't know if any of us do.
I don't know. Like the idea that the Daily Wire says that they want to. Actually, if that's the case, that they would say, okay, we want to actually debate with you, but then in back channels, if that's the case, that's probably the lamest thing that you could possibly do, otherwise, like I said, I'm not even sure like what they're going to debate about. Like, is it like just like, is Israel good or
is it anti-Semitic to say we shouldn't fund Israel and stuff like that? Is claiming that Israel's policy is similar to the Nazis anti-Semitic? I imagine that's a lot of it.
Well, I mean, if they're gonna have the debate, like have the debate, shit, or get off the pot.
I wonder if the real issue is that like Ben and Jeremy are going back and forth, and then someone else, because there's other interested investors involved, said, "Hey, I don't care. Y'all need to shut up because she's in violation of non-disparagement, and we don't want to deal with this."
It's probably stupid and boring.
Right? Yeah, and. Okay, ultimately what this comes to is the real issue behind this is literally not Ben Shapiro and Candace Owens and Daily Wire having a gag order or not disparagement. We know what the real underlying issue and the reason why this story is getting the news, right? It's Israel.
Say it.
It's Israel.
Of course it is.
It's people who are obsessed with Israel. Glenn Greenwald is hyper focused on Israel for a lot of reasons. And I'm not saying he's wrong to be. There's a lot of people who live or die by just talking about Israel. It's the only thing they care about. There are a bunch of like post-liberal and disaffected liberals who were very much Democrats, come out now on the anti-woke side. When the Israel issue happens, they're instantly standing alongside all the far leftists as it pertains to Israel. And so sure enough, like, I do believe Glenn Greenwald is not a credible reporter on a lot of these issues. And there are other issues pertaining to, that I've questioned him on the past, pertaining to foreign policy and reporting, where I think he is very, very biased. So now you have the issue of Candace Owens, why she left the Daily Wire. It's funny because everyone's claiming it has to do with criticism of Israel. And I'm like, Jeremy Boring actually defended her when she criticized like Israel policy and like U.S. funding. He said she's welcome to be here. She's allowed to give her opinions. And then her contract ended and she left. And now everyone's like, aha, it's because she criticized Israel. Or it's like, I don't know, or her contract ended and she left. She realized she could make more money somewhere else. She didn't want to work with these guys. They don't get along. And so she left.
Yeah, I think the big thing is that there was obvious tension between her and Ben Shapiro. There was that video of him, I think it was at some sort of private dinner, criticizing her pretty intensely. But it is extremely difficult from the outside to say, especially because we're in a political space, like how much is actual political ideological difference as opposed to like personality and contractual, debate. I think that there are people who believe similar things that don't get along, and I think there are people who believe completely different things that do get along. It's hard to see when you're sort of enmeshed in all of this which one is which. I think it is, no matter how it plays out, I am sad to say that this debate isn't going to happen. I think it would have been really interesting. Neither personality involved is obligated to go into personal details on it, but I think some of the topics that they comment on, having had the debate, I think the internet would have liked it.
The internet would have absolutely liked it. It would have been an absolute S show, though, I think, personally.
Thanks for watching this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. Hang out with us live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. and become a member over at timcast.com for uncensored, members-only shows exclusive. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.